Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ English, your favorite UPSC platform in India. In this discussion, let's talk about cloudburst. If you are following the news, you might be aware how phenomena of cloudburst and flash flooding are leading to a massive destruction of life and property, particularly in the Western Ghats area, in the northeastern states, as well as the sensitive Himalayan belt, including Himachal Pradesh, Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Sikkim. So, what are these cloud bursts and why do they create such a massive flooding in a short period of time? In the last just 5 years, every year during monsoonal months from July to October, we experience many mortalities. We do experience mudslides, landslides, flooding, all because of these sudden, unpredictable cloud bursts. Let's talk about the definition given by the Indian Meteorological Department. It says that cloudburst is a phenomena of intense, unpredictable, sudden rainfall that happens in an area of about 20-30 square kilometer within a period of say 1 to 2 hours, and the rainfall is more than 100 millimeters. This leads to a sudden flash flood in that area. The rainfall is so sudden and the water flow is so uncontrolled that the local terrain absolutely gets swayed by. Anything in its way is also devastated. Now, recently we have seen disturbing images coming from Uttarakhand. Almost every second day, some or the other village in this Himalayan state is falling prey to flash flooding. Similarly, we know about the Kedarnath tragedy of Uttarakhand few years back. Sikkim, same phenomena, and so is true for Kashmir and Himachal. So today it has become an area of major concern when it comes to the discourse on climate mitigation. Although the World Meteorological Organization has a slightly different understanding of a cloudburst. It says any rain that pours extremely heavily continuously at about 100 millimeters per hour will be categorized as a flash flood. But whichever definition we go by, the reality is that scientists are saying rainfall as less as 50 to 100, that's even below 100 millimeters, can also cause a cloudburst known as a mini cloudburst. The rainfall, even if it's below 100 millimeters, anywhere 50, 60, 70, 80, leading up to 100 millimeters in a span of less than 2 hours, has the capacity to cause a minor or a mini cloudburst. Although it sounds mini, but it can be extremely devastating because we are witnessing that rainfall anywhere between 50 to 100 millimeters today is being strong enough to cause so many landslides, mudslides, and mortalities in these hilly states. Now, cloudburst usually has become a very common phenomena owing to certain reasons. One of the prime reasons behind cloudburst is a movement of moisture rich air that travels up in the mountain domain. As the moisture rich heavy air, it climbs up the mountain slopes. It forms a vertical column of cloud known as cumulonimbus clouds. Now, you have to cover this topic in your GS paper 3, that's climate, weather phenomena, GS paper 1, geography, and of course, even under climate disaster mitigation. So, we all know that nimbus clouds are typically associated with causing rainfall. They look very dark or gray in color. Now, here the sudden movement of air upstream, the hill, causes the formation of cumulonimbus. These are moisture rich clouds, and this is contributing to a sudden inflow of heavy rainfall. There are many other reasons apart from that. Say, another phenomena is that of local pressure zones. It is believed that the development of low pressure area in high altitude regions. We understand the relationship between altitude and pressure. Having said that, in areas that are based on high altitude, as the pressure starts decreasing, the low pressure starts forming, it attracts heavy, moisture laden winds towards that. Something very similar to what happens in India everywhere, every year during the southwest monsoon season. The very fact that monsoonal winds are attracted to India is owing to the pressure belts of northern India. Something similar is happening here. Now, here it is the low pressure area that's attracting these heavy winds, which are rich in water. They have a huge moisture content. And then what happens? They come attracted to these areas, and ultimately the clouds are bursting out in a heavy gush of water flow. For example, if you look at the 2020 Himachal Pradesh cloudburst, it could be linked with this low pressure phenomena. Now, talking about the 2013 extremely heart-wrenching Kedarnath tragedy that killed thousands of people. In this tragedy also, the reason was that as moisture-heavy winds were climbing up the mountains and cooling down, they were condensing in heavy cumulonimbus clouds, and that unexpectedly led to a downpour that was way above the capacity of local ecosystem to tolerate. Now, talking about the 2014 cloudburst of Jammu and Kashmir, that also had created too much disaster. This was about a collision, a kind of head bang collision between warm, moist, and cool airs. This led to creating diverse air pockets of different temperatures, and ultimately, this triggered the cloudbursts in the area. Now, what could be the broader reasons behind cloudbursts? If it is becoming such a normal phenomena nowadays, but at the same time, it's also causing us too much devastation. What are the long term causes behind it, and what can we do to prevent them from happening? Well, it all boils down to a poor climate mitigation strategy. Although every country is busy making tall claims that how by 2030 we can bring down our carbon footprint, how by 2070 many countries, including India, claim to go absolutely carbon neutral, but today, talking of 2025, the strategy is not concrete because global temperatures continue to rise at quite an unprecedented state. Today, in the Hindu newspaper, we have discussed how the ocean levels are also rising at an alarming number. Just by 2019, ocean had already risen by 4 point something millimeters, which means our islands are under threat of submergence. The global warming is leading to a complete change of biodiversity across various ecosystems, and this is making cloudbursts even more intense and common. What do cloudbursts lead to? Well, extreme flash flooding. If we remember, Uttarakhand had also experienced severe flash flooding back in 2022. Something similar happened in Himachal Pradesh. It was triggered by cloudburst, thunderstorms, and then rapid snow melting. All of this contributed to heavy rainfall and adding the water in the rivers. What was the fallout? The fallout was massive devastation to life and property. Now let's talk about landslides. If we remember just few years back, in an area called Uttarkashi in Uttarakhand, there was a phenomena of land subsidence. Mudslides and landslides are common every day. The hills break down very easily. They are a sensitive topography. So the more deforestation happens there, the weaker the roots of these trees become. Eventually, in the case of any heavy rainfall, it's easy for these trees to leave off the roots. Eventually, the mud becomes very, very delicate, and soil erosion and landslides keep happening. We can also talk about how the sudden flash flooding is contributing to the healthcare burden. Now comes a flooding time, and there erupt communicable diseases. Owing to water contamination, diseases like typhoid, diseases like fever, cholera, diarrhea, they also take a heavy toll on the lives of the vulnerable communities. Disruption of communication. States like Sikkim, anyway situated near the bottleneck, the chicken neck, it's difficult for communication lines for trade and commerce to happen smoothly, even across Himalayan states. And in the case of such cloud bursts, there is a regular damage to bridges, rails, power plants, which is causing a massive inconvenience to people involved here. And then let's talk about the coastal cities. Now, today, Chennai is the news. Just yesterday, many flights had to be diverted from Chennai airport to other cities owing to heavy cloudburst like situation in Chennai, a place technically which only receives rainfall during the returning monsoon or the northeast monsoon period. That also experienced major flooding, and hence the entire city became dysfunctional. So we ask a question today. It is not just about global warming or deforestation or blanket policies, but it's high time the government makes a special panel to investigate into the various cases of cloudbursts and flash flooding, and we should have some mitigation for it because people living in vulnerable regions are extremely prone to this danger. Let's follow that up with an interesting question. The question says, with reference to India, consider the following statements. One, A cloudburst is an extreme rainfall that usually happens in a localized area within a short period. Two, cloudbursts are mostly reported in the Himalayan regions during monsoon season. The third, cloudbursts can trigger flash floods and landslides in hilly areas. It's quite an easy question if you have understood the video content. Please try to answer by picking out the right option. And if you enjoyed the video, I really request you to like, share, and subscribe Study IQ English. Thank you.